What's up, YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be replacing my crank pulley on my R53 Mini Cooper S with this super damper from ATI. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and stick around. You're going to want to watch this whole video. No matter which Mini Cooper you drive, check out my Facebook group. It's called Mini Cooper DIY. It's for every single person who works on their own Mini. It's got over 6,000 members, coming up on 7,000 members. We get over 300 every week, sometimes 400, even 500 every week. I'll put a link to that in the description, or you could just go to Facebook and type Mini Cooper DIY in the description or in the search bar. Let's get to the video. Okay, the first step, you're going to need to release the tension on your serpentine belt. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to use this tool. I'll put a link to it in the description. And you're going to put this circular part is going to go on this bolt right here above, right here by the dipstick. Obviously it's just a circle, it doesn't bolt on, it just sits there's a so it can rotate. And then these two pins right here go into the two pins that are down in there, so that you can then pull this handle back, which will allow you to put this pin in the spot right there. I'll get a good picture of it with the pin in so I can show you, but it's right back there. Let me see if I can get the light. Right there where the light is, you can see that metal, that little thin piece of metal. I'll put an arrow on it, and there's two holes in that, and you're going to want to put this pin in the bottom hole once you've pulled the tensioner back. One thing that makes this a little bit easier is if you take this hose off, just press these little connections and pull it down. And that gives you a little bit more room. The directions say this is a two-person job, but I've done this by myself, so it's a one-person job. Just make sure you're pulling this straight back and use your other hand to put this in. You can actually look right straight down and see it. So now that that pin's in, I'll give you guys a better view of that. See, that's the pin I just put in right there. And there's a little metal tab right above that spring. See if I can get it to my phone to focus on it. But there's two holes in it. And you want to put the pin in the bottom hole once you pull the spring back, or once you pull the tensioner back. Okay, now in your passenger side wheel well, there's right underneath where your headlight goes, when your hood's down, you're gonna find 4 of these Phillips screws to remove this panel, not remove it, but to get this panel out of your way. There might actually be 5 in most cars. Mine's broke off, so there'll be one right there, one right there, one right there, then down a little bit. There's one right there, and then over one right there. So go ahead and pull those out. What you want to do is take a flathead screwdriver and hold down one side like that while you turn it. That just makes it much easier to pull them out. And that's what they look like. Okay, so once you have those out, just go ahead and pull this back out of your way. I'm just going to shove it somewhere back here. And I'm going to figure out a way to hold it. Just like that. Okay, so next, if you have an impact gun, you're going to want to put a 15mm socket on it and take this bolt out. If you don't have an impact gun, you're going to need a partner to press the brake pedal while you take it out with a breaker bar. I'm going to use an impact gun. That's the bolt. See that it had the blue thread lock on it. Make sure you put thread lock on the new bolt when you put it in. And replace the bolt. Don't use the old bolt. Okay, next what you're going to need to do is get your pulley puller like this. One that I got from Bay Motorworks. It came with my crank pulley. If you aren't buying the one, the ATI super damper like I did, and you're just going to get one off of Amazon or something, I'll put a link to a couple of good ones, or at least a good one that's on Amazon. That's a fluid-filled one, crank pulley, or crank pulley. And then I'll also put a link to a puller that's almost identical to this that's on there. But it comes with, it's actually is identical. It comes with the same bolt that you slide in first. And then you're going to take these bolts that come with the kit. It comes with two different sizes depending on whether you have a pre-facelift or post-facelift car, because these bolt holes are actually slightly different. But the kit that you get on, that I'll link to, comes with both sides, so you don't need to buy any extra bolts. It just works. I'm just putting these bolts in just hand tight right now. Well, they're always going to be hand tight, but once I get all three of them in, I'm gonna make sure they're all the way in. You want to screw them in until they completely bottom out, but still hand tight. Now make sure that you have these all the way in, so when you pull this out, they're all flush, because you don't want to be pulling on this unevenly. Okay, next, your kit comes with this bolt. You're just gonna slide it in, screw it into that hole, and it's gonna, the other side of it is gonna hit that bolt that I just slid inside the crank pulley, the bigger one. Next, set your ratchet up with a 19mm socket on it, and set it up like you're tightening it, because you're just gonna tighten this bolt and pull your harmonic balance, or your crank pulley off. Starting to get pretty easy right now, so I'm thinking that it's probably about to come off pretty soon. Okay, next get your new crank pulley. Get it on as far as you can by hand. Isn't going to be very far. Okay, next your installing kit will come with this, or the puller that you bought will also come with this bolt for reinstalling it. So you're going to put that in as far as you can by hand, and then you're going to tighten it with an Allen wrench. So once you get it as tight as you can, go ahead and take this bolt back out, because you just want to make sure you've pressed this on as far as you can with this bolt. Then you're going to take this out and go to the next step. Air compressor's out of air. The air it up. Okay, so off camera, I took the old, after I took this polar bolt, or the bolt that I used to install it, the long one, after I took that out, I took the old crank pulley and I just ran it in all the way to make sure that this pulley is all the way seated. And now I can use a flashlight, I can look in there and I can see that it is seated. So now I can go ahead and install the new crank pulley bolt with some thread locker on it. Okay, so I have blue thread locker on there. Go ahead and put that in. Go ahead and install it with this air tool. This air tool doesn't go to 85 pounds, so. So I'll use a Torx wrench for the rest of the way. Or actually, I'm going to use my impact gun. And go ahead and make sure you reroute your hose or your serpentine belt. I'm going to replace mine later on because I'm going to do my supercharger pulley. I'd recommend replacing it right now if you haven't recently, but I'm going to use the old one. Okay, so now you're going to put your belt tensioner tool back in there. And you're just going to get enough tension off it so you can pull that pin out. And then release it as slow as you can. Don't forget to reconnect this. Okay, so now you just reinstall your fender liner, put your wheel back on, and you're good to go. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, please give it a thumbs down, and I'll catch you in the next video.